This is Delta from Waijo Anime Games, and we're bringing you a Crow's deck profile. We're in the middle of a 5Ds wave right now, and Crow is one of the cool new characters we made, including Akiza, Jack, Leo, Luna. All that's really cool, a whole bunch of characters that you guys and us were really excited for. A whole bunch of cool duels like Crow versus Akiza, so make sure you guys check out all those duels and deck profiles. There'll be a playlist right here. Crow's a very popular character, a fan favorite. You know, it goes way back with you saying Jack, somebody that we all like, and his deck is probably equally cool. Now, some people hate Blackwings, especially when you get to how they did in competitive play. You know, they showed up quite a lot throughout, you know, all the years of Yu-Gi-Oh! And, you know, some people love them, some people hate them. But I think especially when you talk about Crow's deck and character decks, they're just cool cards. Bora, Blizzard, Gale, Sirocco, Vayu, all this really cool stuff. You know, there's some really cool card designs. I personally really like them. And guys, make sure if you're not already that you follow us on Facebook as well. We post lots of cool stuff there. And we're getting close to 500 likes on Facebook, which means a giveaway. But that aside, let's just dive right into our fast-feathered friends. First up is Abrolos the Megaquake. So you can't special summon him, which is kind of a big thing about the Blackwings. I mean, a lot of them have ways to special summon themselves, especially if you have another Blackwing on the field. So he doesn't get to do that, which is probably good because he's pretty powerful, letting you return, you know, your opponent's cards to their hand, especially getting rid of monsters. That whole return to the hand type thing is really, really good. It can be really strong, especially against synchros. So definitely a good card, and probably good that they didn't make it too easy to summon him. And before I go any further, I will just say that unlike our Jack and Yusei deck, which focus on the cards used in Season 1, just the Fortune Cup and Earthbound Mortals arcs, this is a deck made of all of Crow's cards that he used throughout the entire 5D series. And it is a 4-card deck, which means we did have to cut out some stuff. There's some cards used that, you know, we had to just keep on the chopping block, and they didn't make it in here. We were able to include most of everything Crow used. And then next up is Blackwing Aurora the Northern Lights. So this is a really cool card. You can special summon it by banishing a tuner and a non-tuner Blackwing, and then you get to make it have the same attack, effect, etc. as a Blackwing synchro you have. So it gives you really good access to your entire extra deck without needing to, you know, just go into one synchro. It's a really cool concept to actually let you use one card to just access any synchro you have in your extra deck. Then we have Blizzard the Far North. So again, really good at making synchros. If you draw this, it can sometimes be a one-card Blackwing synchro. I also like Blizzard. He's not quite as dark as a lot of the Blackwings. He's a very light blue color. Then we have Bora the Spear. So he's able to special summon himself. Now, Crow did have 2 Bora, but again, with us having to cut out cards, we weren't going to include 2 of one specific card, when there's already so many cool, unique cards that we didn't get to use for Crow. But yeah, Bora's pretty good. Then we have Boreas the Sharp. You can banish him from your graveyard and then basically destroy an opponent's monster that battles your Blackwing monster. It's pretty good. Definitely got its uses. Kalima the Haze. Again, another interesting effect. Very limited. You only do it during your opponent's battle phase. You can banish the special on the synchro from your graveyard. There's a lot of really cool different effects that Crow's deck has. You know, Blackwing is definitely revolved around synchros, and you get to, you know, choose to copy a synchro from your extra deck or summon one from your graveyard. Vayu lets you make a synchro using monsters in your graveyard. So lots of cool ideas that they definitely exercise with the Blackwings. Elfin the Raven, he makes himself easier to summon if you have a Blackwing monster. And then you can change the battle position. Atesian the Two Swords, kind of a limited use, but you can do 1,000 extra damage with him. Not that bad. I wouldn't necessarily say he's that good. 1,600 defense isn't bad. Feign the Steel Chain, pretty weak, but lets you attack directly. You could steal some games like that, and then lets you change the battle position when it attacks directly. Again, nothing too crazy. Gale, something competitive players will be familiar with. Another tuner like Blizzard, one of the many tuners that you have. And his ability to special summon himself is pretty good. Also, to have a monster is very good. Makes it easy to get over stuff that you don't like. Ghibli the Searing Wind, you can special summon it when your opponent attacks directly. Not as good as Battle Fader, certainly not as good as Gore's. But, you know, kind of it can stop one attack. If all your opponent's monsters are weaker than 600 defense, it can stop your opponent's entire battle phase. Hurricane the Tornado, a tuner, but also works if you already have a synchro to copy its attack. You can definitely, like, do a lot of damage with that. Jetstream the Blue Sky, you just send it to, you know, protect your monster from being destroyed. Kind of like a shield warrior from the hand. Kalu the Moonshadow, another hand, you know, trap. You do a lot of Blackwings activate from the hand. Boost one of yours up. I really like the hollow versions of Blackwings. Konami shows a lot of love for Blackwings. They're always introducing new cards to the archetype. I mean, I think there's something like 60, 70 Blackwing monsters printed. It's some really high number, more than most archetypes have of individual monsters. And they also get hollowed out treatments quite a lot. Blackwing Kochi the Daybreak, a level 4 tuner, which especially early on when we were seeing 5D stuff was not that common. But if you use special summon him, you can't use him for a synchro. Kogarashi the Wanderer, even rarer, being a 6-star tuner. And he's a way to special summon himself. Plus, he gives synchros with him a little bit of built-in protection. Even the 2300 attack is pretty lethal, so he is definitely a good card. Mr. the Silver Shield, yet another tuner, has a kind of useful effect. Not quite like as good as Wing Kribo, but you can reduce some battle damage to 0. Orochi the Squall, just keeping out the tuner theme, a 1-star. Again, way to special summon it, pretty useful. See that in Blackwings quite a lot. Then we have Sure the Blue Flame. If you get destroyed opponent's monster with it, you can, go into a synchro right away, depending on what you pull. So definitely a good card. An 1800 attack is nothing to scoff at. Strako the Dawn. Again, competitive players will be familiar with it. As a way to normal summon itself, if your opponent controls the monster, make it easier, and can boost attack one Blackwing monster by all Blackwing monsters on the field. So definitely a very strong card. Steam the Cloak, a level 3 tuner, and with a way to special summon himself back from the graveyard, you can abuse him for multiple synchros. That should be your card, multiple synchro. Some kind of cool, I don't know, trapper spell lets you synchro multiple times. So Vayu, you actually can't synchro with Vayu on the field. He has to be in the graveyard. You just banish non-Blackwing tuner monster. Their levels equal a synchro you got. You can make that synchro summon from the grave. Really, really cool. Man, I do like the Blackwing deck a lot. It's very fun to play with, and it's very easy to make synchros. And then Zephyros the Elite. Able to special summon itself back. It can, you see in competitive sometimes, in competitive play, and just the ability to get a level 4 right back to the field by returning something to your hand is pretty lethal. And then moving on to the spells, Crow obviously played a lot of different Blackwing monsters, and he has a lot of cool Blackwing traps. We've got almost all of them printed, most of them. But he played very few spells, and a lot of his duels were turbo duels, so we don't really have access to speed spells. So he only has 3 spells, and the first one is Blackwinged Strafe, which is basically like a shield crush, so you just need to send a Blackwing from your hand to the graveyard. Then we have cards for Black Feathers, which lets you remove a Blackwing to draw 2 cards. It's good to have draw power in here. And then his last spell is Reload, which can be pretty useful. Mulligan your hand, get a new hand. See if you can get something better, maybe you get a slow start. Alright, so moving on to the traps, of which he has 14. Again, quite a lot of traps, and there were definitely traps that we had to cut out. We have Blackback, which just lets you take a Blackwing from graveyard, 2,000 less attack during your turn. You can't normal summon, which is a pretty good condition to put on it, but that can still make it much easier to make a synchro. Pull back whatever Blackwing you need. Then you have Black Boost, which is some more draw power, but in a trap. Maybe not quite as easy to use as cards for Black Feathers. You need to banish 2 Blackwing tuner type monsters. Then we have Blackfeather Beacon. When you take damage, special summon a Blackwing from your hand, level 4 or lower. Maybe not that good. Could be useful depending on the situation. Black Return. If you special summon a Blackwing, you get to put an opponent's monster back in their hand. Like Abrolos, that can be pretty devastating, especially in a game where there are lots of synchros running around. Black Thunder. If your opponent destroys your Blackwing, you do 400 damage to them. Lots of different effects against the traps. There's some draw power. You see some destruction. You can see revival. You can see some burn damage. So Crow really does have a very versatile deck with lots of different effects. Blackwing Backlash. Pretty powerful. You have to have 5 or more Blackwings in your graveyard, and your opponent's declare direct attack, but you can destroy all monsters they control. Nothing to scoff at. Blackwing Bombardment. Again, maybe a little situational, but you can boost up a synchro. Then we have Blackwing Revenge, which is you grab a couple tokens. When Blackwing is destroyed, it can be pretty good for going into a synchro or some more defense depending on what you want to do. It's also interesting that the other ones, like Blackwing Bombardment, have Blackwing as one word with a hyphen in between, and this one they separate Blackwing into 2 words. I'm not sure why, but I find that interesting at least. Then we have Delta Crow Anti-Reverse, a very powerful card. Destroying all your opponent's face down spell and trap cards is no joke, and you only have to have a Blackwing to activate it. You can activate from your hand if you control 3 Blackwings, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Crow has done. So, super powerful card. Ebon Arrow. gives your monster piercing, and you get to do some burn damage, so this can really seal games pretty fast. Fake Feather is next, which lets you duplicate the effect of a trap, so pretty good. It's a little bit like Grave Robber, which we see pictured on the card. Gravity Collapse. You do need to send a synchro monster to the graveyard, but you can negate the summon of an opponent's monster, and they can't summon again. That can be huge, and sometimes will just seal the game, especially if you're in a good position because you got a synchro out. You can just shut down your opponent and call the game over. Guard Mine is kind of specific, but can protect you from your opponent's cards that seek to, destroy something of yours. And the last trap is Trap Stun. So, definitely a cool card. Again, one that competitive players will be very familiar with. And moving on to Crow's Synchros, of which there are 4, which is not as much as you say it, but more than like Leo and Luna and Akiza, for example. We have first up his 6-star Blackwing Armed Wing. So not much else there besides the piercing and then the ability to gain 500 attack with the attacks defense position monster. Not bad at all. 6 is pretty easy to go into. It's Blizzard plus a level 4. It's, 2 3-stars, which can be like Gale and another 3-star Blackwing. It's not that hard to make. Then we have Blackwing Armor Master with 7 stars. So there's times where I can only make a 6, and I wish I had Armor Master's effect or something like it on a 6, something more than just, trample. And there's times where, I can make a 7, and I'm like, oh, if I had a, piercing, I could win the game. But Armor Master is very strong. You can put wedge counters on your opponent's monsters that he battles with, and he can't be destroyed by battle. And then you can make all monsters that had a wedge counters attack 0. So it's really good at getting over stronger monsters, which is exactly how we saw Crow doing it. Then we have this 8-star Blackwing Silverwind the Ascendant. 2800 attack, very powerful effect. You can destroy 2 monsters whose defense is lower than its attack when summoned. That can be huge. I mean, getting to destroy 2 things is pretty powerful. And then during each of your opponent's turns, you can protect the first Blackwing monster that would be destroyed. And on a whopping 2800 attack body, that is pretty strong. Now, you do need 2 non-tuner monsters to make him, so it is a little bit more of a challenge. And also, I mean, there's lots of Blackwing, synchros in the game. There's so many, but Crow only used a few. And, Silverwind the Ascendant is A with a few conditions. So you're not always going to find the easiest time, actually, to make synchros. But in general, his deck does have an easy time making synchros. And then we have Crow's Signer Dragon, which we, didn't see early on. Black Winged Dragon. 2800 attack is not bad at all. Again, it's 8 stars. Now, whenever you take damage, you can put a counter on him and you don't take the damage. He does lose attack though, 700. Now you can remove all counters on him to reduce one opponent's monster's attack by 700 for each counter, and then your opponent takes damage equal to the amount lost. So even 2 counters can do 1400 damage and pretty significantly weaken a monster. Definitely a pretty powerful effect, similar to Armor Master. It can help you get around stuff for sure, but you have to take damage first. So this is a little selective, but a very cool monster. I really like that he got a Black-Winged Dragon, Black Feather Dragon. That's his 40-card main deck and 4-card extra deck. Again, a lot of players love Blackwings. I love them too. Such a cool variety of effects. These dark birds, winged beasts. Very cool deck. Like I said already, check out all the other 5D's content if you haven't already, including the Crow vs. Akiza duel. Even though you've seen all our 5 new characters play now, there's going to be a little more 5D's content rolling out for sure. If you haven't seen our Deck Expo 2, in addition to a lot of cool new characters like 5D stuff and in the future more deck waves, we are doing other kinds of videos right now, things like top 10 lists, so check that out as well. And as always, if you really like our content, make sure you check out our Facebook, you like, comment, subscribe. We love fan interaction. You can also check out our Patreon, where we do have some exclusive content available. In return for, $1 a month, it's not that bad. It goes to the channel. Definitely check that out if you're interested. Thank you guys as always, and YGO Anime Games out.